I'm doing a live video and I'm going to look up my own video so I can see if my camera's pointing the right way. Bear with me as I try to find my video. And I'm going to wait for some people to join me, of course, as I always do. My name is Raquel, and as the title of the channel indicates, this is Paints and Glitter. Okay, so it's looking like I can zoom in a little bit so you don't have to stare at my drink. Maybe move over this way. I think that's better. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna wait a moment here because, here we go. Just want to make sure that my connection is good. So if you happen to join me, please say hello and let me know if you can hear me okay, if you can see the video, because I do have a lag on my end when I'm looking at my videos. So sometimes it appears that I'm not hearing or reading, I should say, the chat, and that is not the case at all. But again, I'm going to wait to see if anyone joins me. I did announce this just very recently on Instagram, and I'm trying to tinker with Instagram to see how to best announce different crafty videos, as I sometimes try to come along at the same time, but it doesn't seem to be working out that way for me, so I'm just gonna go with the flow. I have here some beads. In fact, I think, let's see here. I think I was going to try to add more beads to this, so let me go with that. Okay, so I'm sometimes in the middle of a crafty idea and I'm not quite sure which way it's going to go. So I think that I figured this out. I need 3 more of these. Wrong one. Okay, here we are. I guess it doesn't matter if those are separated or not. Hello, hello. If you're just joining me, welcome. And I hope you stay. Just gathering here some supplies with the hopes of being able to add some embellishments to this. So some of these are quite delicate, but I hope to be able to implement them into my project. Let's see here. I think I have all 3. Yep. There we are. Okay, so I've got all those. Now I'm just going to grab these and my tools. Hello and welcome. Please say hi if you're just joining me. I'm just waiting for people to join in. Otherwise, I'm speaking to myself in a room here, so pardon me if I'm quiet. Oops. I am joining some jewelry findings here that I'm going to be adding as charms to this box, and I will show a close-up once I've got this put together. They tend to slip out of my hands, so I'm trying to just be careful here not to break what I'm doing. because they're small and delicate. Okay, let's see if I'm even gonna go that route. It seems like I might not, because it's slipping out of my hands. Okay, we'll try that another time. Hi there, welcome. Please tell me your name, doll. So I tend to forget names, so I welcome you today. Thank you for joining me, by the way. I'm just sitting here making decisions about this project that I decided to do. And I had thought to put some jewelry findings on this, but I think I'm going to wait because I'm currently waiting on some jewelry rings, I think they're called. I forget the name of it. But the ones that I have are quite small and they keep slipping. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. The jewelry pieces I was trying to add to this, they're the little rings. If you're familiar with them, they keep slipping out of my hand because they're quite small. So I figured instead of frustrating myself with that, I can always come back and add them later, so long as I explain my intentions here as to what I'm doing with this. And I will be showing you the dies. If you'd like to share the video, I'd appreciate it. Sometimes people don't find out until later, and I often get the message of, oh, I missed your live and I'm sorry I wasn't there. But if you don't click on the notification bell, there's not a whole lot more I can do other than announce it. And I do announce my videos on Instagram. It's the only other platform that I use often enough. So I did try to do that. And in a minute, I'll show you a close-up also of what I'm doing here. Just decisions here to make. Sometimes these projects, you think they're going to go in one direction and they take a life of their own. So I'm trying to decide here how much ribbon I actually want to use and all that good stuff. But I am using Tonic Studios dies. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but my channel consists of mostly projects made with Tonic Studios dies. And because I'm very happy with the quality of these products, among others, of course, because I do show a lot of other things, then this is kind of my go-to. And I hadn't yet shared this particular set. In fact, I meant to grab my link, but I do have my TonicStudios link in the description of all my videos. It would be either under the link tree or standalone. All right, but in any case, goes without saying, there's always links. So here's what I've done, and again, I'm going to probably be revisiting this, but I've made this box. Let me show it a little closer so you can see the detail here. I think it's absolutely stunning, and because of the different ways that you can use these, and the way that you can cut into the paper and all of that, I decided that I would make it more of a caddy because I can fit a lot in here. And I've decorated it as such. And here's the, I'll go back to this off camera, of course, just to make it easier. But these are the little beads I was adding. Hi, Susie from Illinois. Welcome. I think you've been here before. So I was just describing this, and I'm going to show you what I used for it. And I think it's absolutely adorable. So I'll show you what I used, and then I'll explain how I use the items. And if you guys want to stick around, then I will also make a card using this panel, because it won't show up as much here as it would, I think, on a card. So let me show you. Had to move my box of jewelry out of the way there. Okay, so for this project, I've used the Luxurious Lantern Gift Box die set. It looks like this. In fact, I can take it out of this packaging so you can actually see it a little bit better. It's from TonicStudios. Wonderful. Thank you, Susie. Thank you for clicking that bell also. So this is the item here. I don't know if you guys can see that, and I apologize for the glare. It does have a plastic covering, but if you need to pause the video later on, that's the name of it. The item number for this, by the way, you know what? I don't know if they've done away with item numbers. No, they haven't. It's 4282 E as in echo. So 4282 echo. It comes like this. So again, I'm always preaching about how I love, and hi Janice, welcome. How I love TonicStudios. The quality of the items is, you know, super, super awesome. This is the die set. It came like this on the plastic sheet. Okay, just to let you know, came like that. And then it came with the envelope and magnet. So that saved me, you know, quite a bit of money there just for that. And that's how I look at it when I purchase these items, of course. So I'm going to show you the dies so you get an idea of what this does. And here's the base piece for this. And this is, yes, a very large die. If you can't tell from the grid here, I'll tell you the measurement of the base, because I know that that's a question we all want to know when we buy these things. If you haven't already seen this, of course, you might own it, because it's not a very new release, but relatively, I would say it is. So, okay, this measures almost 7 3/4 inches wide. So you do need one of the larger machines to cut this. And it also measures, as far as its length, it's almost, okay, so it's 11.5 inches long, to be exact. So if you're wondering about, can you use an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, which is what here in the United States we typically use, what I would say is absolutely. Let me show you. Actually, I have a piece of vellum here. And here's what I wanted to show you, is that when you feed it through your machine, you're going to have a portion there. If you see that, that won't cut. That is of no consequence when you actually assemble the box, because all you need to do separately, if you would like to, is just take a random piece of paper, you know, your scrap pieces of nice heavyweight paper, and place it right there if you want to, or just get out your ruler, as I would. Measure out the bottom. That's what I did here. And then just add it at the bottom, and you get your nice flat piece there. What I've done as well is I added another one on the inside. So this box actually has an outer layer, an inner layer, and then the folded pieces. So it gives me a nice sturdy bottom there. So to make this one, you do have to cut this twice. And the way that it folds together, in fact, I thought I had one around here. Yes, okay. So this is another one that I had been working on. Okay, and if you see, I was trying to see if I could put several of these, not just two together. But when I tried that, it didn't work. So this was just a leftover piece. But when you join these together, what you're going to notice is that this is the actual corner of the box. Thank you, Janice. And the way you have to fold this is you end up pinching this gently, because this is heavier than 110-pound cardstock. And let me tell you, you have to be really careful, because if not, you get buckling right away. So you have to really follow that, the embossed line there that the die creates for you. And because of the paper thickness, I had a little bit of trouble there, not getting the buckling and whatnot. But I have to remind myself this is a paper craft, not a solid piece of, anything. So in any case, you end up having to fold that gently with your hands, just following that curve. And then when you join it with your next piece, you actually get a middle seam here. So I wanted to explain that to show you that you then want to cover that seam, because it's going to be right in the middle of here and right in the middle of here. And I hope that makes sense. So, of course, in true fashion, Tonic Studios supplies everything that you need to be able to make the project beautiful regardless. So, I used these pieces here. So, let me show you that. So, yes, Janice, ordinarily, I would say do the bone folder, but this is a curve. So, if you try that, you're going to essentially be trying to fold a curve with a bone folder. So the other option, let me show you actually, because we all run into this. So it's good to share with each other, what's worked for you, what worked for me, etc. So I have this bone folder, which is one of the, the ones that has this kind of lip here, and I really like it. And what you can do is to try to find your fold and kind of feed the paper into it like this, gently. And that's another way to go about it without getting frustrated. In fact, that's what I should have done, because if you see there, I can push that paper quite strongly and then keep, coaxing that paper, because it's so heavyweight, just keep coaxing it to fold the way that I want it to. But again, because of the weight of it, it still has a little bit of buckling that happens there. I just wanted to mention that because, it all depends on the grade of paper that you're using. And I like to use the heaviest weight paper possible for 3D projects, because if not, they end up flimsy, especially when you're cutting into them and you're cutting away what would give the paper its structure. And that's what I did here, because I wanted to create these lovely panels that, you know, have that lacy effect, right? So here's what I did. If you saw here, so let me show you first this one. If you saw here, I used this one in particular. And by the way, there are 2 different styles. That's another bonus. You know, you're not stuck with only one. And bear with me, I'm just trying not to break my nails. Here we go. Okay. So you get this panel here. This cuts into the paper, and it has its shadow partners, I call them, that will cut the edges, right? So if you use it on its own against the background, and I'll show you here, used on its own, you can create your little window panel, just like that. But then if you group it together, and here's what I did, I used it together to create the lining that you see here. And all I did was cut that out of silver cardstock there for a couple of reasons. One is aesthetics. Of course, it looks absolutely fabulous. But the other one was to reinforce it. So what I can do now is do the same thing. Cut it out of white paper or even lavender. Stick it on the inside, and it's going to be even sturdier. And I won't have to worry about that buckling or anything like that. So the other thing that I used was this panel here. Let me get this one out of the way. The wider one, which I explained is going to cover your seams and all of that. Then, of course, I cut into the white background before I take this away. I cut into that white background the same way I did here and here. That gave me that beautiful panel there. And then on the inside, as you can tell there, I adhered my vellum. So thank you, Janice. That's what I hope you take away from this channel, because anybody can buy the dies, but how you use them is a whole other, you know, creature, as we say. So using both of these together, the same way that I cut out that silver panel here, I cut out the holographic panel here. So all that I have here to cover the seam is a solid panel in the this gorgeous paper from Tonic Studios. And then I also have these guys paired together on top as a holographic panel. So speaking of that holographic panel, over here, what you see is that I cut into the white cardstock. I cut using my large panel there with that motif. As I mentioned before, I followed it up with the vellum on the inside, and then I took the bits and pieces of the hearts that fell out of here and used them as inlay pieces on that side, because why waste that gorgeous paper? And then to give it even more depth, I cut it out again using both pieces. I cut it out again out of a different white cardstock that has a linen weave, and then I stuck that on top. So when I look at it from the side, it actually had, because I didn't adhere it flat entirely, I only adhered it on the sides, it actually has the look of a window pane, which I love. So again, on the top here, if you see, and by the way, as I mentioned before, there are 2 panels that are decorative that you have as an option for the sides. You also have 2 panels that are decorative as an option for the center. Now, because of the size of the die and the way that these things have to be made, this one in particular, you have to feed through twice. Okay? And my recommendation for this sort of thing is that to avoid frustration, a magnetic mat is going to be your best friend when it comes to that. That's what I use. That's how I was able to get this all done. Because then you don't get the slipping and sliding and the washi tape and all that jazz. I say for the amount of money that you would spend buying washi tape that you're just going to throw out and get stuck everywhere, which I use, by the way, on all sorts of things, because you see, I have them on my little machines and all that. But in any case, for the amount of money you would spend on that, you can invest in a magnetic mat for whichever machine you have, and it's going to be more user-friendly. So let me take this one away. And one thing, okay, so let me show you the one on the top here. Okay, so if you guys, of course, have any questions, let me know, because I'm happy to explain. Okay, so for the top here, to cover these panels, which I still have yet to finish that. For the top, you also get two options. You get this one here, and then here's the one that I used. So this is the one that it reminds me of, it almost reminds me of Moroccan tile, or I don't know. By the way, you also get either the outline with a piercing, which is those little, you know, dots that we all like, or the beveled outline, which is what I used on here. And then on this one, I did use the one with the piercing. So if you need to get a close-up of that. So what I've done is that I cut out the vellum with this piece. And then using both of the dies together, I cut out that beautiful pink cardstock, the specialty cardstock. And then I cut it out again using just this, you know, the more intricate piece. I cut out those silver pieces of paper and then just did that inlay as well. So of course the sky's the limit as to how many colors you use, all of that good stuff. But another thing I wanted to point out was that because of the way I want to use this, which I'm probably going to add like foam pieces here to get this to just stay down like that, because I really like kind of the lacy effect of this, this edge. I think it's so pretty. What I've done is that I cut out, just using this simple panel here, I cut out the solid pieces of lavender paper that you see on the inside. Then what I've done is that I ran them through with an embossing folder through my machine, and I did use Nouveau paste to run over that. And I don't know if you can even see it, but I have a delay on my phone, so I'm just looking to see if you guys can see the texture on that. But if not, I can show you separately anyway. By the way, this comes with a tag. And this tag, which I haven't even cut, so let me just show it to you instead of talking about it. Okay, let's cut this down. And if you needed to know the specialty cardstock that I used, it was this Petal Pink from Tonic Studios. And it's got that gorgeous shine, and of course it picks up all different colors, as you can see, because it has that holographic effect. And as far as the vellum, I just happen to have lavender vellum in my stash. I cannot give you a link for this because I'm not quite sure who to refer you to, but I'm sure there's vendors out there. This is very old. I have some materials in my stash that are much, much older, so okay, just going to show you the tag. I spoke of the Nouveau mousse, or oh gosh, I keep forgetting the name of it. Let me see if I have it right here. Here we go. Yeah, it is mousse. The embellishment mousse that I use. This one happens to be mint tea, which is one that it's kind of my go-to, because it's such a light green, and I like adding green to my projects. You can use it in different ways. So what I've done here, however, is I sprayed this paper. This happens to be very light blush pink paper that is 110-pound cardstock. And what I did was I sprayed it with another Nouveau product. Sorry guys, I'm trying to remember. I think I use shimmer. Yes, I use shimmer powder. So I apologize. I didn't spray it. I use shimmer powder. So this shimmer powder, what you do is, as it states, it looks like powder. If you ladies wear any makeup whatsoever, then you know that there's, you know, loose talc kind of powder that, or makeup that you apply, and then there's pressed makeup, liquid makeup. Same concept here. This would be kind of like, you know, your loose powder makeup. I don't know what else to describe it as, but this has mica in it in different colors, and I love using it because it gives you a little bit of a surprise, aside from the shine, which is so much fun. But what you do is you can put it on your glass mat or on a surface that's, you know, this multimedia mat that you can get. I have this one that I cut in half from, in fact, I think this is an oven liner because it's the same thing. It resists heat. And I think I went out and I just got myself an oven liner. I'm pretty sure that's what I did, or a cookie sheet liner. And I cut mine in half. But you just sprinkle this on here, add some water to it if you want, and dip your paper into it. Or you can sprinkle it onto your paper and then spritz it with water. However you like to play with your mediums, there's no rules. So so Janice, you're getting a personalized tutorial. How do you like that? Because I think it's just you and I here. But in any case, this is called Falling Leaves. Okay. And that gave this beautiful shine. It's also the same color as that mousse that I showed you that I used here. But I might use it on top of that too, just to show you. Now, what I'm going to do is to show you the tag, because I think it's so cute. I'm just going to place this here. And this tag comes with two options here for sentiments. So let's see here. There's love, with love. Thank you. Thank you so much. So there's with love, there's best wishes, happy birthday, and special friend. But of course, because they're loose, you can use them whichever way you like. So if you want to make up your own English language, go for it. Oh, no worries, Susie. It's hard to tell, you know, because I just see the numbers go down and up and down. Beverly, hello, hello. So glad to see you here, hon. Beverly, I sent you some mail, so I don't know if you've got it or if it'll be there by tomorrow, but you should be getting a little something, which of course was your prize. And I appreciate your patience with it because of the, you know, the whole holiday and all that. Oopsie, what am I doing? Here we go. So if you don't know that, on this channel, my way of saying thank you is that I randomly pick people every now and then. I'm not going to say how often, but because it changes. But every now and then I will be working on a project, and the project will end up going to whoever is watching. So I'm just going to put here, just to show you guys. Now wait a minute. I have to think about what I'm doing for a second. Just for a second. All right. This says friend, and this one says special. And I want to make sure that it goes in the direction that I would read it, because if not, it's going to look kind of wonky. All right. And I'll show you how these actually work, because not all dies work the same way. And I think it's pretty ingenious. Because why stick to the same old, right? Okay, so again, there's the layering tag. Putting that one back. And then here were our little sentiments, right? So I'm now going to put this aside. Okay, I think we're all, oopsie, the tag. Leave it to me to forget. I don't know. Trying to set it aside so I don't lose my own dies, because girls, let me tell you, I am notorious for doing that. Where I'm using a die and then 3 months later I go to use it and I'm like, oh no, what did I do? Where did it go? And of course I have to blame the world. Somebody took my die. Well, you know, and I jokingly always say, somebody don't live here because there's only 3 of us in this household. So it's physically impossible for somebody to take off with anything. All right, so just to, since I mentioned this, let me show you guys. Okay, how you can go about this, or one of the many ways, right? All right, so Nouveau Embellishment Mousse. You can add water to this. You can use it with a baby wipe. You can use it with a tool. You see how mine is all cruddy like that? It's because I use it, guys, I use the same techniques on paper that I use on my face. I pretend it's makeup. So, depending on how you want to go about it, you can add more, you can add less, you know, depending on what you like. But let me show you how you can, one way to go about this. Just rub it in and blend, baby. No racing stripes on that face. But this already had a base of a little tiny bit of green on that pink. But this is just going to add a little bit more, and it's going to be shiny, but it's not going to be tacky. I don't know. Let me compare it to a white piece of paper. So you see what I'm talking about. So let me put white on the background. You get to see there the effect that you can have on that. And the great thing about that is, let me see, I think you might be able to see the debossing on that. So the little dies that have the words on them, what they do is they make an impression on that paper instead of cutting it out. So that gives you some versatility there, because let's not forget that you don't have to use those dies on this tag. You can use them on whichever project you like. So you can do an entire background just by debossing the paper, which is really cool. Thank you. And then if you see the shine, it's almost like you bought specialty paper, but you can extend the colors of your papers by using different colors of mousse. Because again, you're not limited to only one color on a piece of paper either. So that's one option. Another way that you can use it is, oh, I'm glad you could see that. You know, just use it on the edges of a piece of paper, of course, not to let that go to waste. You know, I find that it's, you know, these dry rather quickly, but you can use them with a water brush also. So let me just, for the sake of, oh, you know what, guys? I had just bought a spatula and I forgot to bring it down. Okay, so you can scoop a little bit out also, however much you want to use. And a little bit of this goes a long way. But you can use it with a water brush. Let me show you like that. And if you want to be more specific about it, then on a piece of, whichever piece of paper, if you only want to do the edges, you can also do that. Okay? Or you can be more heavy-handed if you're using, say, a, what do you call those things? Oh, I forgot, stencil. If you want to use a stencil, you can rub that in there, you know. So, however you want to go about it, you can, you know, if you accidentally put too much, you can go back in with water. And you can see how much, you know, you can really, really, really make it a super light wash, or you can be more intense with it, however you like. The other way that you can do the debossed image, okay, because here's one. So I can now adhere this, which I think is so cute. And my glue hasn't woken up yet. These adhesives, the colder it gets, the quicker they want to solidify. So sometimes you kind of have to hold them between your hands for a little while. Come on, baby. All right, talk to me, ladies. How are you all doing? Are you having a good Friday? Have you had a good week? There we go. What's the last book you read? Tell me. Tell me, ladies. What is the last book you read? I'm curious to know. All right. See? Layered tag. And of course, you don't have to make it monochromatic as I have. You can layer this on a black piece of paper. It's going to stand out, you know, super. However you want to go about doing that. Better than yesterday? That's wonderful, Beverly. That's good to hear. I hope yesterday wasn't horrible. Yeah, Janice, I'm also in the tundra. The Arctic tundra of upstate New York. But I actually, you know what? I need to have a conversation with my husband because we have a fireplace. And so we're able to keep our house as warm as we like. Praise God for that. Of course, you know, there's no complaint there. However, I don't know if I'm allergic to the smell or whatever. You know what? I think I might mix a couple things here. Hold on a second. But I get so dizzy when the fireplace is on. So I think there's some sort of fume. I don't know. I have a very sensitive nose. Sick. Oh, I'm so sorry, Beverly. I hope you heal quickly. So this is another mousse called Cornflower Blue. It's just one of the other ones that I happen to have. So let me show you the contrast there. Okay. And again, this is just very light. But you can use it however you like, you know. So if you can imagine, you know, a larger piece of paper, if you do this with a stencil, in fact, let me do it on here. So I keep mentioning it. I have a stencil right here. So let me do that. And this is just fun to play with, guys. Really personalize a project like that. It's a natural fireplace, which is what's surprising me, Susie, because I would think that it would be a gas fireplace that would make me this sick, but it's not. And I know that I am allergic to cigarette smoke, for instance. Highly allergic to that. I mean, you don't even have to tell me you had a cigarette. I'm going to know. If you're anywhere near a cigarette, I'm going to know. But, oh, this didn't work. That's weird. Look, it came right off. I think it's too dry. Oh my gosh, I've never seen that happen before. Okay. Maybe that's not the way to go about that. I think it might be too dry. Huh. That's interesting. All right. Guess what I'm going to try to do right now? I'm grabbing a baby wipe to see if maybe that'll do it. I kind of like it when these things happen, you know, the unplanned, because I want to figure out right along with anyone else why that didn't work just now. I found this other cheapo little stencil from the dollar store that I forgot I had. I'm going to try that. So here I am with a baby wipe. This, I believe it's an alcohol-free baby wipe also. So let's just see if that works better. Yep, it does. It just needed more water. And now my tag is going to smell like a baby's bum. A clean one, to be specific. All right, so there we are. It's not, you know, perfect, but neither am I, so I'm not complaining. So there's another way to use that mousse. So if you're familiar with oxides, this kind of has the same effect, except for this will give you a shiny, you know, finish rather than matte. And the other thing is that you can do texture with this as well, depending on which one you get. Of course, there's another one that I have that I'm not going to get out right now, but there is another one, another style of mousse that is heat reactive. So once you put your heat gun on it, it will be 3D, and that's a lot of fun too. So I'm just going to move these out of the way. So I didn't spray that with water, by the way, Susie, because you have to have sterilized water to add to your mediums, because mold happens. Whenever you introduce any kind of bacteria into your mediums, it's going to propagate just like anything else, and I don't want to do that. So that's why this is pretty sterile because of the way baby wipes have to be created to be sold, you know, for children and all that. It's kind of a safe way to go about getting moisture into your things without introducing unwanted bacteria. So that's a little scientific aspect of me. All right, let me just move this aside now. I think we got enough of that. And this will wipe down real easy and all that good stuff. So if you just want to clean your mat, whatever, it'll come off quite easily. You're not going to have a lot of accumulation. What I do is I just take every now and then, I take a little scrubby sponge and wipe that off, and it comes right off. Or, as you can tell, sometimes I just leave it as is and I roll it up and say goodbye. Hello, Joanna. Yes, Delia, welcome. Sorry I had not said hello yet. So the products you can get, if you want to try them out, my recommendation is that, of course, you use my links and get yourself a Tonic Studios kit. In a kit, you're going to get samples, and quite often you will get a full-size sample, whether it be a full-size adhesive, a full-size mousse, or a full-size Nuvo drop. And you can play around with these kinds of products and find out, you know, what is it that you like about them, what don't you like, and you kind of feel a little bit more, you know, free to take a risk because it's only a sample and not a full-size item that maybe you paid full price for, that sort of thing. So, all right, so I probably should not have stuck this here because I just, you know, kind of wasted all that texture that I did there. But you guys at least got to see how you could use that. But in any case, there's the blue with love. And once this dries, it's going to look super cute. I'm going to set them aside for now, however. Yes, the kits are wonderful value. The one coming out right now, in fact, I'm kind of tempted to get. I'm not sure yet. It's got a little apron, and you can use it as a 3D project, or you can make cards out of it. So if it has baking sentiments as well as grilling, so you can use it for Father's Day cards if that's something that you like to make. It seems like that's an popular option for Father's Day, is the one with the grilling. Excuse me. I need to get better at shooting. I was trying to aim for the garbage and I missed entirely. All right, so I wanted to show you guys some other stuff. I did mention that die set. I want to use the center panel to make a card because I wanted to show you, of course. You're very welcome, Janice, and have a blessed afternoon. Oh, I'm sorry, Joanna. Yeah, the current one is really cute. They're all cute. I mean, it's kind of hard to choose. But I wanted to show you here, as I've been tinkering. I was designing some papers this morning, so I printed out some of my own designs here, just playing around. I'm trying to add more papers to my Etsy store, so if you like these, please let me know, and I can add them to my page. I mean, my intention is to add them anyway, but any feedback you can give me, of course, is excellent. I like these colors, so I wanted to design something for Valentine's Day and all that good stuff. And if you haven't seen the other paper, this is a paper I designed. This one's already on my store. I just was playing around this morning and I wasn't quite done yet, so I haven't put these up yet. But I thought that they would play nicely with this die as a background. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to cut this out to use as a base for a card. And I'm going to get out my plate here. This is the magnetic mat I was referring to, by the way. And it's easy enough to just place this on here and cut however many you need and all that good stuff. So this is just under 3 1/4 inches. So I think I'm gonna cut this down. By the way, this is just kind of like pastel splatters. But I thought it would be a lot of fun to kind of group that together. So here's what I would like to do. Because this has such a beautiful heart shape, and normally I would cut 2 pieces of paper together, but because this is such a heavy weight paper, I'm just going to go one by one. And I do have my machine here to the side. Ooh, which I've been kind of having fun with. I was adding gems to my machine, but I need to stick them on with E6000. Okay, so here's that. And on occasion, you need to feed these through more than once. That's, you know, depending on which angle you took and all that good stuff, or how thick your paper is. So as I said before, this is really thick paper. I might finish it off with scissors. Okay. I hope it cuts through entirely the first time around. Okay. All right. And it's good to have one of these brushes if you don't have one, to kind of clean out your dies or the bits and pieces. I think I'm going to run it through again, just in case. So let's see if this cut out the first time. It might not have, as I mentioned before, only because of the thickness of this paper. Yep, I'm going to have to run this one through again. Hopefully not the other one. Woohoo, baby. All right, but this would be excellent also for one of the smaller slimline cards. I think it would be darling for that. Okay. Feed it again. And let's see here. Okay, I'm going to set this down for 1 second and hopefully I can get all these little guys out. And I like to do it from the side of the paper that you're not going to see, just in case I scrub a little bit too hard. Don't want to ruin the paper. But this tends to do the trick. And of course you could leave in there however many you'd like. You don't have to take them all out either. Depending on the paper that you're using, you might just want to leave all of them in there. Okie dokie. So there's that. All right, so guys, let me know. Do any of you guys? Oh, I'm sorry, Delia. I am using the Anna Griffin Empress machine, and it's because I was having trouble with my hands hurting with the regular, you know, the hand crank machines. So I invested in this machine because it makes it a whole lot easier for me to cut these thinner dies. I still use the other ones that I have, but I tend to use those other ones more for steel rule dies, or occasionally for the smaller ones too. So if you see, you can leave your die on the paper, and that makes it super easy also to kind of clean it out. Voila, you know. It's not perfect, of course, because I didn't have as many little holes in that, but it cut beautifully. All right, so okay, here we are. So I've got both of those panels, and I'm just going to get rid of these guys here. I want to cut a background for these because I kind of want it to stand out from here, which this is what I want to use for the background of my card. Okay, and I'm going to do that with vellum. Okay, my vellum was trying to hide from me, guys. There we go. So again, 3 1/4 inches wide. I can now actually layer this, of course, because vellum is so thin. So here's that. So this is the magnetic mat, by the way, Delia, if you're interested in that. It is quite large, as you can tell, but I also have a smaller one, and this has been through a whole lot, let me tell you. And what I like about it is that it has retained its shape. I'm not getting any crazy warping, which drives me bonkers. So this is the bottom plate, just to show you real quick. Okay, gets a little bit dirty because of the oil in the machine, you know, but this is the magnetic plate. It would be perfect had I not accidentally fed a die right in between the magnet and that plate, but in any case, I do cut into it. I saw a demonstrator on HSN doing it. I've seen Anna do it, and I figured, okay, let me see if it'll work, and so far so good, no issues, and I don't get any weird markings on my paper either. If I do, I just try to clean off the mat, and then it's usually just fine. Bye, Susie. God bless you. Thank you for having been here. Okay, so there's those pieces ready to go. And what I can do now is just to create a base for myself. Let me see here. I'm trying to picture how this is going to look. And it would make a nice tall card. So let me measure this out again real quick. I didn't plan this too much, guys, just to let you know, but this measures 5.5 inches tall. So I'm thinking as far as sizes go, 6 by, let's see here. I could do a 6 by 7 card. Is that a size? Because I don't want to do a 6 by 6 card. We're going to make a 6 by 7 card. Maybe it's unusual, but who cares? Let me cut this down. Okay, I hope you didn't miss me. I wasn't going to be able to fit that on there. So, I'm now going to layer my panels on here. And that piece of vellum is going to be just enough to give me a little bit of a shadow there without making this card dark. And of course, I can add more to this. But let me start here. And if you really wanted to, you could also cut the little hearts out of the background here. That's another option. So here's one, and I'm just adding adhesive strategically here and there where I think it's going to need it. Now, I don't know if you are aware, but you can also color your vellum. Okay, guys? You don't have to leave it in that, you know, plain color as it comes like that. You can color it, you can laminate it, you can spray it, you can do a whole lot to it. Speaking of which, what I would like to do is, I'm probably going to use some Nuvo drops. I hope you guys can see this okay. So let me know, guys, is card making videos, the process of it, is this something that you guys enjoy? Do you find them to be helpful or inspirational? I know I do. Even if the person's style is not my own, it doesn't matter to me. I enjoy the process of creativity. Okay, so I'm just going to press that down. And of course, you could put this underneath a heavy block if you wanted to. I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem for me. But here I have the 2 panels that I'm going to use. And I'm going to cut that again using, let's see here. I thought I was going to use this paper, but now I'm not quite sure. I think I might save this for maybe the inside. Choices, choices. Okay, I think I'm going to cut this out here, but I'm going to apply some color to this piece of paper first. And I'm trying to find something that will match here. I've got quite a lot of different colors that I could choose from. Sometimes too many choices isn't that great either. But let me see here. I think I'm gonna go with my oxides and just use some regular old ink, oxide ink. Okay. I don't think this is the sponge for this, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to do a little bit of pink here. Kind of like that mottled look. Hi, Leslie. How are you? I'm gonna try to, this is thinner paper. I didn't mention that, guys, and I apologize. Sometimes I'm stuck in my thought process here just to get things done. And so my apologies for that. But I'm going to try to, here's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to aim for where the heart would meet here. So in fact, I guess it doesn't need to be that big, because I'm going to see if I can cut two pieces at once, okay? And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Oh, Leslie, thank you for asking. She is well. She's been having a good time, of course, in sunny Puerto Rico, where there's not, not even a semblance of the, you know, the climate we have here, because I'm looking out my window right now and there's, I don't even know how many inches of snow out there. And I get pictures from my family and they're like, oh, you know, just this morning my dad was like, look at the sunshine, and it's this perfectly blue sky that looks like it was painted. So yeah, she's doing well. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to cut this down again, just to make my life a little bit easier here. 3 1/4. Okay, trying to aim for the same size each time. All right. And of course, this is the smaller plate to that machine that I keep using. Yes, yes, no complaints here. So that way I don't have to be out there shoveling or any of that stuff. I'll let my husband and my son take care of that. Got no interest in being outside. It's, I do have, my son's got a basketball game tonight that I'll be attending, but that's about it. And even when I go to that, it's a challenge, but we do what we can for our children. Okay, so if you see how quickly that popped out of there, I should have gone slower. So here's a warning, or piece of advice. When you're going to do the technique I'm about to show you, try to make sure as many pieces will stay in here. Okay, now you just saw me cut that out twice with, I should say, 2 pieces of paper stacked together there. But here's what I'm going to aim for, is that I am now going to be crazy enough to show you how I layer these. That vellum that's behind there, I'm going to add adhesive to. Oh my gosh, Leslie, yes, that was like, you know, as they say here, that was like nailing Jello to a wall, because he did not want to be here helping. That might have been actually at the older house. I don't know how long. Oh gosh, was that here? No, I think that might have been at the other house. I don't remember now. And he's like, Mom, I don't want to be here. I was like, you're too grown. You're too cool. Because my son, he's a very easygoing kid. And it surprised me because when he was little, I could get him to do anything. It didn't matter what it was. I'd be like, his name is Diego. I'd be like, Diego, you want to do this? Diego, you want to do that? You know, and he would say, sure, mama. Sure, mama. You know, and now he's a teenager and he's like, oh, Lord. Why? And I'm like, I remember being an obnoxious teenager too, but you have to be nice to me because I'm your mama. Oh, gosh. But he's a good kid, so I gotta let him off the hook, you know? And can't force a person to like things they don't like. He's like, crafting? No, that is not something I'm going to be interested in. Alright, there's that. So you see what I've done here? I've just used that same die to help me layer these pieces. And now, guys, I end up using whatever's clever, whatever's near, whatever I can get my hands on here to help me out, whether it be tweezers, whether it be, you know, anything at all. Because let's face it, it's like making puzzle pieces fit in. And if there's, you know, a piece that you don't recognize, sometimes it's still in the paper like that, you know, all that good stuff. They sometimes will fly around on you also, but the effect is well worth it, the final result. Yes. So, Joanna's saying, Vellum for, oh, you use Vellum for your flowers? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I love that technique. So I'm going to go with the easier ones, you know, the pieces that I recognize, because I think some of them I'm going to have to find on my plate here. They kind of flew all over the place on me, but I recognize the shapes, and that's all that matters. Okay. Oh, you color them. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. So what I could do that here, for instance, whichever ones I don't piece, I could just color it in. And I do that also with the glitter markers, and it does lend such a beautiful effect on the projects. So I have samples here and there, but as you guys probably know, most of the things that I make I end up giving away or selling. So sadly, I mention here, you know, projects, and then I'll look around the room and go, wow, gee, I wonder where that ended up, because I don't remember. I could mail something out last month and I won't remember who I sent it to, or, you know, all that good stuff. I just don't retain that kind of information, guys, because it's, I always say, I have this file of information in my head of things that are important, and if it didn't go in there, it's gone. I think, you know what? One of the, oh, here we go. Hello. I was trying to fit this in the wrong place. The other thing that you can do, if you want to, I mean, if you're up for it, is you can, depending on the size of the pieces that you're placing, you can double them up and make it even more dimensional. Of course, as I've done here, I cut it out of different paper, but you can cut it out of the same exact paper. I think that doesn't go there. Sorry, guys. You can cut it out of the same exact paper if you want, and then add dimension to your project. So, I mean, possibilities are endless, as they always say. Okay, so here I'm going to try to get an idea as to which pieces I do have. apply my glue accordingly, and then go from there. Because it's kind of like a process of elimination. At least that's what I find to be easier. Work with what you have and then worry about what you don't have. It's kind of rules for living and crafting. So I'm here just using my little pokey tool there to apply pressure so that my papers know where to aim, and boom, I get them all in the right place the first time around, okay? So the idea is that you don't want to start fighting with your project. If you're getting frustrated, either you're doing it wrong or you're taking too many steps. You know what I mean? I'm going to set this aside for a second. Because the one thing is that it should be relaxing. It should be therapeutic. And yes, I lose myself in this as well. Because there are days where it's, you know, I've got too much pain to do anything in my home, but I can, you know, do a bit of crafting and my mind forgets about the pain for, you know, a lapse of time, and it's a blessing. I really consider it a gift from the Lord, quite honestly. So there's that. And I appreciate you guys being so patient with me to watch me do this. But there's the progress so far. Got a little bit more to go here. I'm missing 2 corner pieces and 2 of these little guys. So I have, see some over here. 1 here. Yep. At least I think it goes there. If not, I'm making it fit. And let's see here. I've got this little guy. Yep, I recognize him. So he goes here. Too much, Leslie? Yeah, I understand. It's not for everyone. For me, it's kind of like puzzle piecing, which, you know, I don't know that I've ever been interested in puzzles, but I suppose it's the same concept. But I think for this video, I might just leave it at 1 so that I don't torture you guys. Because I can always finish it off camera. Okay, so there's that one. Okay. Oh, wait, I'm missing 1 more, guys. But wait, there's more. Here it is. I found it. 1 more. And as you probably can tell, I haven't even filled every single part of that heart, but I don't think you have to. All right. Okay. There's the result of all that. I'm using your word, Leslie, faffing. I've never heard of it before, but I like it. So there's one option there. Of course, the other thing you can do, and you see how these all fell out like that? And that's what I was using, is to not let this go to waste. Of course, I should have planned this a bit better, because that other die that cuts this out can be used now to cut that out of the background, okay? Or I can use this and cut out those little hearts. So let me show you what I mean. Just go around the outside of this and kind of just follow that shape. Okay. Just going around the perimeter of that little heart. Like so. And then cutting away at what I don't want. And this is more faffing. I'm sorry, but I'm going to use that word. Oh, I love it. I love languages, guys. So the more you can teach me, the happier I will be. Okay. So again, it's kind of just like disconnecting what you don't want. And there you get that adorable little heart. Let me show you that up close. Blackpool, Lancashire. Okay. Awesome. Yes, I love my friends from overseas. And, you know, I think I've mentioned this before. I don't know if you know this, but I grew up in a very multicultural setting, which was here in the United States in the military. If your parents are in the military, one or both or whatever, you end up living, for the most part, not everyone, but you end up living in kind of like a nomadic lifestyle where you're moving from one place to the other. And we did. We lived in military bases, outside of military bases, but in the end, all of that to say that we got to meet people from all over the world, literally, you know. So my little friends growing up were never from just, you know, all from one place or anything like that. And we all had that experience in common. So after a while, it just becomes commonplace, you know, that you kind of, what would I call it? You just have that comfort level of talking to people that are very different from you, or hanging out with people who are very different from you, and all that good stuff. And I gravitate, that's the word I'm looking for. I just tend to gravitate toward that type of environment because it's what I'm comfortable with. And I love learning, you know, those little things. Like, how do you say that? You know, how do you explain this in your, whether it be your culture or your household? Yes, I think you mentioned that to me before. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, we never got to go. My father lived in Korea for a year, but we never got to go, you know, that far. We just traveled out, you know, mostly within the U.S., and I did live in Panama as a kid. And that was interesting because me being of, you know, Hispanic background, yes, I speak Spanish, but just, you know, just like, for instance, being British or Northern European and speaking English doesn't mean that you have anything in common with someone from Texas or from New York or LA or whatever, just because you speak English. You know, it's the same thing with Hispanics all over, whether it be middle, you know, the Caribbean or Central America, South America, etc. So that was quite an experience to travel to Panama and live there. So, yeah, I got stories, girl. Lots of stories. All right, so you see the difference here? I can definitely go with this, which I think is kind of interesting, to do it like that, rather than doing both exactly the same. And it's just a matter of layering, okay? And come to think of it, I should have done the inlay here and there. You know what I'm saying? Crisscross applesauce, but that's okay. You live and you learn. Oops, that's not my glue. I was using my Nuvo drops. Ay, ay, ay. But I love learning. You know what I love is learning colloquialisms. You know, like, how do you, like, you just taught me how to say faffing. In Spanish, depending on where you're from, the language will vary so much. So I am originally from Puerto Rico, and when I moved back to Puerto Rico after living in the United States and, you know, all over the place, let me tell you, I didn't understand a single colloquialism. I thought these people were all crazy and they were talking like aliens because I learned proper Spanish at home. The paper piece one, yeah. Yeah, it's good to, you know, to see what you like. And then, guys, on this, before I forget, so I get storytelling, of course, You can put your Nuvo drops on top of that as well, and get a whole different look also, which is why I didn't mind doing this, because now what I'm going to do is in those little wells, I'm going to fill it up with Nuvo drops, and that's going to be funky and cool, you know, just fun. And then of course you can do it whichever color you like. It doesn't have to be, you know, a predetermined color like pink on pink or blue on blue or anything like that. You do whatever you want. In fact, you could do it kind of like ombre also. Like Joanna was mentioning, coloring the vellum with Copics. So what I can do here is I can flip this around and aim for the inside of these hearts and just color with my Copics and give this, you know, it's going to cast a pink shadow into this heart without all the faffing. You know, I'm going to keep saying, I am so obnoxious and I apologize. Oh, but I just love it. My husband and I love watching, well, more so myself, but we like watching international programs and stuff like that. And by the way, this is going to look really bright here, but once I turn it around, it won't be so bright. So we love the phrases on certain programs that we watch, because again, if it's not your natural tongue or, you know, your native tongue, then it doesn't, like, it's not as impactful to you when you hear it. Oh, I imagine that was the case. Like in English, it's fiddling, right? Fiddly, that sort of thing. Or I shouldn't say, what am I saying in English? In American English, fiddling, I think, is a word that's used. All right, so you see that? Now I've got my pink hearts the way that Joanna was describing by just coloring it in with the alcohol markers. Okay, so there is some texture there depending on how many layers of alcohol coloring you add, but in the end it's so cute. Messing about, yeah, I'm trying to think of in Spanish. I can't think of a nice way to say it, so I won't. I also have these, which I was thinking of using. These were left over from my other project, and I was thinking of putting that there just for that little pop of shine, because I absolutely love holographic paper. So why not just go ahead and do that? Oh, okay. Yeah, I had a British friend that lived here, and she had 3 little boys. I always share this because I miss them. I thought they were so adorable. She had 3 little boys, and at that point, I only had 1 child. My kids are, my boys are 8 years apart. So her little boys loved listening to my son because they spoke British English in their household, and my son had this, you know, mixture of words that, you know, just from being biracial too, you know. So he had, my son had this little teddy bear that was given to him at birth, and he called him Pooh Bear. So they would always encourage him, what's the name of your bear? Say it again. And my son, of course, would say, his name is Pooh. And they would just laugh and laugh and laugh. Oh, and I thought it was just adorable. But their mom didn't think it was so funny. So they're constantly getting yelled at. And I would just tell her, oh, leave them be, you know, they're boys. Just having a good bit of fun. So I'm just distressing this a tiny bit because I just can't help myself. And more particularly because it's a larger piece of paper. than I normally would use for the background of a card, because a 6x7 card is unheard of here in the United States. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that. And then I will adhere this to the base, which I haven't made. Beware. Okay, but in any case, there's that. I can add these here. Yes, I agree. I absolutely agree with that. That's been the biggest blessing out of all of this. Crafting and video editing and gluing and cutting and all that. And I always say that, you know, it's not about the paper. It's not about, you know, the techniques are fun and all that. But it really, truly is not about that. It's about the people that you meet. You know, what connections are you making as a person with others? Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're disconnected from the people that, you know, have common interests with you, then it's for, you know, it's a waste of time, in my opinion. And I can say that from experience. You know, I've tried to connect with certain people in the crafty industry, and you know, kind of one of these people that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and you know, always the eternal optimist in the sense of thinking if I'm friendly, that's what I'm going to receive. And when that doesn't happen, I'm just 100% of the time surprised. And I was having like a little moment of self-evaluation and thinking, gee, am I just a really gullible person? Is that the case with me? Like if I had to describe myself? And, you know, having this kind of like little conversation with myself, I decided, no, I'm not gullible. What it is that, you know, I anticipate that which I have cultivated in myself. And I think that makes sense to you guys, you know. The formation that you have really impacts who you are. And I was brought up by a brilliant woman who some of you got to see on this channel. She's, you know, a very friendly person who was extremely talented. And so for me to see someone being creative and being friendly and welcoming people into her space and all that stuff, for me, that was no novelty growing up because that was my environment. My mother is that kind of person. And I hope to continue in her footsteps at all times because I don't think there's any shame in that. There's no shame in sharing what you know. There's no shame in, you know, sharing with others without the expectation that, you know, you have to be applauded or whatever. So I'm going to cut this down, guys, to 6.5 here. Kind of the cheater method way of creating a card base when you don't have the size. Well, thank you, sweetheart. Well, you know what? I have to give all credit to God, honestly. To God and to a God-fearing mother. Because one experience that happens when you, for instance, when you don't speak the language, when you're that kid that's new in town or you're new at school and things like that, and that was always my experience, you know, the new girl, or she just got here, she's from somewhere else and all that, you know, you start understanding that there's always a person in the room that's the odd man out. And I was brought up to be very conscious of that and also never to be the person that would exclude them. I think it's so important, you know, and what example that sets also to your children. When you hear, like, you know, I know my oldest went through that. Well, I was friendly, but they didn't, you know, they didn't include me. I was friendly, but they didn't think that I fit in and that sort of thing. And you know, you kind of anticipate that with children more so, but It happens in the adult world, and I think that that's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Like, what? No. Clicks are not good. I don't know. But that's just, you know, sorry if I got on a soapbox there, but that's my 2 cents. All right, so if you saw what I'm kind of like tracing my own steps here, because what I did here is my base piece there is 6 by 7, as I mentioned before. I'm using, as you can tell, really heavy paper here. And I want to make myself a card. So the top layer is going to be 1/2 inch taller, because that's what I'm going to fold now. To make, if I can find my, here it is. I'm going to fold this 1/2 inch now. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, here we go. There we are. And hopefully I can get myself here situated to where I can actually put this on a card. All right, so I'm just going to fold this down. Then it's up to you whether you want to miter that little corner there or not. I think it depends on, you know, what you're going for next. You now want some really good adhesive there, and I'm looking for my score tape, which is one of those, it's kind of like a toddler. You never know where it's going to end up. It's supposed to be here. Ay, ay, ay. I'm pretty sure I have backup. Oh, darling score tape. I know it's somewhere around here. I'll find it once I'm done with my video. But at the moment, I can't see it. So I'm going to go into my stash here. Aww. He has a cold. Well, you know what I highly recommend is seafood. Any kind of seafood if you have a bad cold. It really helps. But yeah, no problems, Leslie. I know this has been a really long video because I think, yeah, oh my goodness, I've taken a long time, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging in with me. I just really just wanted to have a nice crafty afternoon today. No rush, you know, it's cold. Nowhere to really be for today anyway. All right, so I'm just going to remove the backing there. I'm going to back it up with my Nuvo here also, because I want a nice stick. And then I like to line it up on the opposite end. Make sure it's nice and straight there. And this is a good opportunity to also find out if I need to cut this down. Let me see here. Nope, I don't think so. Maybe, who knows. Try to line it up here. And then I try to pinch on one corner, pinch on the other corner, and that dry adhesive gives me that initial tack that I need, and then kind of do from the center out. Voila. Not 100% straight, no matter what. Ay, 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 such is life. All right. I'm going to put this on here. And I'm going to blame it on the fact that it's a shabby chic card. Oh, it's your, oh God. I thought, you said elderly cat and I didn't even catch that. Leslie. I'm dying. Now you said vet and I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. vet was veteran. Oh Lord. Nothing new with Raquel. Guys, I used the wrong side of the paper. Oh well. Oh gosh. Your poor little cat. Your cat needs seafood too. Oh yeah. Seriously, I can't with myself sometimes. All right. Yeah, I have to laugh at myself because if I didn't, I'd end up crying. Oh, Lord have mercy. Takes me 2 hours to make a card, and then I end up thinking that your cat is a 22-year-old. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. All I saw was 22 years old. I'm like, he needs some soup. Okay, so I'm going in. Oh Lord. Going in with the Nuvo drops. Can't stop laughing. Oh gosh. I bet he would love you. Oh yeah, I noticed that. I assumed it was a young man. I don't know why. I'm like looking at my tiny phone here at the screen. I didn't read it through properly. That's all. I have no excuse. Oh my gosh. So what I do here is I take a little needle and I kind of try to pull the Nuvo drops in the direction of the edge here. So that way I don't have to use too much, but again, this is the most fiddly card ever in the history of all cards, but oh gosh, I'm just showing you guys techniques that I like to use when no one's looking to make my cards. At least to get you interested in, you know, different ways to use the products that are fun, I think, and just will give you different looks on, you know, on the cards that you're making. Maybe even expand the way that you use your dies, because this doesn't have to be something that you would use only for this kind of die. Say you're doing a caricature die or anything like that, and it's got maybe a feature that you want to have it stand out, then you can add a little bit of Nuvo drops and kind of just twirl it around a bit or whatever. You don't have to add the texture, but you can certainly sprinkle some glitter on top of it as well. So this, in this case, this is going to be very monochromatic because of the fact that this blue matches exactly the paper that I designed here. But of course you could do silver, you could do gold, whatever, white. So I'm just going to add a little bit more over here. And I'm not going to be too terribly careful, but it's kind of like, you know, frosting a cupcake or something like that. The result is depending on how many layers you've added and all that good stuff. Oh gosh, Leslie, I appreciate I appreciate you sharing with me about that. And being, you know, gracious to me, because I know I'm a ditz. Not everybody can handle that. Oh gosh. All right, just again pushing that the same way. If you've ever frosted cookies, I don't know if any of you guys bake, but if you've frosted cookies, it's the same technique of pulling that frosting to the edge before it dries up on you so that you get that nice sleek look. I tend to think that crafters are I don't know. I know there's a word for that, but I can't remember what it is. You know, people who do all sorts of different things. Okay. Oh, almost there, guys. And I think that's good enough. It's going to dry shiny. All right. I don't know if you can see that because now my lighting has changed here. The sunshine is in completely a different angle than it was before because it's taken me forever to do this. But there's that. I can also add the little tag that I had mentioned before. I could certainly add this as part of that card or I think I would put it on the inside, particularly since I'm now going to have to cover that. This was just something I had, you know, one of the designs printed the wrong size on me. So, but there's that here. Hey, Louisa. Oh, you're silently watching there in the background. Hopefully it hasn't sounded too crazy. But I, of course, would love to add a little something more to this. I don't think it's complete yet. And I'm trying to think of, here it is. I have these stamps that have like a box of chocolates and all that good stuff. I'm wondering if this would be a really good, I think it is. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to stop explaining and just do it. I'm going to color this in and add it to this card. This, by the way, is from Daisy May, and it's called Sweet Favorite Stamp Set. It's older, but it'll be the first time that I'm using it. And it's a box of chocolates. Oh, yeah, I had to laugh at myself at my fumbling with my thoughts here of, you know, dummy mistake of thinking that this poor cat was a young man. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so I am going to use I think I'm just going to go ahead and use this paper. It's not my preferred paper, but let's go for it. I think I want to use, let's see here. I think I want to use brown just to keep it soft. This is, by the way, Catherine Pooler ink in Icing on the Cake. So it's very pigmented and I love it. So let me see if I can get a straight up stamped image in here. And I'm going to stamp it more than once. Once there, once here, saving my scraps. Okay. Do that. Okay. And then, in the same way, remember that inking I did? I think, actually, I'll do a little bit more, so that's not big enough. Or, I did say I wanted to use my other paper here, so I don't know how much of it would show, but there's only one way to find out. Yeah, Louisa, I was explaining that I love learning colloquialisms. I love learning from different cultures and this and that and the other. And then poor Leslie goes on to tell me about her cat, and I'm thinking she's talking about her teenage son or young son. But what else is new? Ay, ay, ay. Yes, Leslie, God bless you and thank you for having been here. Not a problem. I truly, truly appreciate it. All right, let's get a cutting. Okay, I'm gonna try to aim as this for my base, and then I'm gonna go to town cutting this away. It'll make life a whole lot easier. And this paper, or the colors in this paper, match my already, you know, the base here. It's just a tiny bit lighter. I went with pinks and blues and white. So I was thinking of kind of like candy hearts and that sort of thing. Just sweet stuff. Now, if you did this with anticipation, of course you could stamp this all out and use a machine like if you have a scan and cut or things like that. Or a PixArt, I think that's the word for it. PixScan. If you have a PixScan mat for one of your machines, you could use that too. Or you could be old school like me and just cut it out by hand, because by the time I get all those machines out, quite honestly, I can do it myself. And I just take away what I don't need. And I have a layer there that I can, you know, keep adding color to or leave it as it is, whatever. Now, as far as this is concerned, I think if I add this, it's only going to be the bottom part here. It's not going to make a huge difference, but I think I know what I'm going to do. All right, so for this, by the way, if you have either pencils or markers in the same color family as what, you know, whatever paper you're using, then you can definitely add shadow to these, and it makes it a whole lot easier too to give that kind of 3D look to your project. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking of doing, and the reason I've gone through the trouble of fiddling with all this is because I want to put this as my base, and then I want to cut this piece out, and because this is the top of a box, I want to give it a little more dimension by popping this on top. Or, of course, I could pop up the bow. So however many layers is up to you. I recently shared a card like that, and it was a little tree, and I had cut all the little elements out and then just popped it together, and it came out so cute. So just old school way of adding dimension, of course. You can definitely buy things already done like that, but if you have the stamps, then definitely you can use them that way. And excuse me, I had to take a sip there. So, let me try here to see if one of these guys, I think I want to go with this one. One of these guys will fit. Okay, I think I can get away with that. Like so. Okay, I'm just trying to make use of what I have here. So on here, I'm going to just cut one more piece here to layer. This, by the way, is the Loaded Pockets, the circle embroidery hoop set, which you can use, you know, let's see here. I think I want to use this one. whichever way you like. So you can use the little ones for sentiments or whatever, I'm stuttering. Whatever, you know, you want to add as far as dimension. These are really cute for that. I want to make sure that this cut all the way through here. So I'm going with this, yes, it's got the same color as the other pieces. Okay, let's set that apart. Now, for this, I can create a little bit of shadow around here just by using a super light color. What I'm using here is number BG10. Just gonna give myself a little bit of a shadow because it's gonna help this stand out from the background. And it's just a wash of color, really. You don't have to be too precise. You do have to be careful if you are using Catherine Pooler inks, which I am, that you not dip your marker right into that because the alcohol might pull the color out. You get some bleeding and you don't want to ruin your nib. Okay. But this is all I did was on that image, I just added a tiny bit of blue on the outside. And of course, you can do whatever color you're comfortable with. You can do either a light gray or tan. Anything like that would match this color palette that we're going with today. And now this will fit here on top. And I know I went through all the trouble of making those hearts, but I think this would look absolutely adorable here. And this is going to layer on top. Oh, thank you, Louisa. Yeah, shadow doesn't always have to be the same color. Because if you look at nature, there's so many different colors, you know. So on here, with that same concept in mind, if I want to add a little bit of shadow here, I can even take that same marker, oopsie, and just go right in here. Now, I'm trying to be very light-handed because, again, the type of ink that I use, I didn't seal it or anything. I could heat this up and that ink would become permanent, but I'm just going very lightly over this, just like that. Just giving myself a little bit of an edge there for shadow. And then I want to do the same thing here, and I hope you guys can see this. If not, I'll show it to you up close in a minute. I'm just going to go underneath the little bow. And of course, this bow, as I mentioned before, I can either color it differently because this was the paper that I designed is mostly blue. Or I can cut it again. I can stamp this again out of a different color paper. Or I can just go in with an alcohol marker or a pencil, whatever. And make it dimensional if I cut it again. All that good stuff. But here what I want to do is I want to pop this up. And I'm going to just go ahead and use hot glue because it's here. And I might, let's see actually. I do have dimensionals. In fact, I have this foam that's just sitting here, so I think I'm going to use a piece of that. Foam, it's foam core, I think is what this is called, which is sold at the dollar store. So if you want, you can always use this to add dimension. It's they look like poster panels. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's called foam core. You can also use that to add dimension to projects. Okay, so I'm just going to add this here. It's going to give me a really nice bit of volume there. Okay, so if you see that, it's got the dimension there, my little box of chocolates, and of course I can go in and color those chocolates and all that good stuff. I'm going to make sure that this is in the right position here now. And depending on whether or not you add shadow to the outside of the circle, it'll look different also. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of ribbon here. I happen to have this pink gingham, and I'm just going to make a bow, because why not? Thank you, Louisa. Don't know if I saw your comment before or not. There we go. So I'm just going to make my little double bow, and there we go. Can do that. And pop this on top of here. I'm just going to make sure it's as small as I need it. Oopsie. There we go. I think I like that. So darling. I'm going to use my hot glue here. Okay. And again, this can pop right on top of here, like so. And what I want to do, I think I want to add dimensionals to that also, so that if you peek from the side, you can see those adorable hearts. And I have strips, so I'm going to use what I have here. Just 2 strips here. Thank you so much. This one and this one. This card started out, I was going to make it flatter, but you know what? I don't know. You have to craft according to your inspiration, I think. And I have all these supplies, so I figure I should just use them. So there's that, like that. And on here, I am going to use my Nuvo drops. Yes, me too, I agree. Because again, this is the same color. I'm just going to use these Nuvo drops here on top of this bow. And now this one is not as, what do you call it? This is a little bit more opaque, because this kind of drop is called a crystal drop. And there are others that are much more translucent. So you use whatever you're comfortable with. I'm going to go ahead and just do this. Now, I tend to use my fingernails, guys, but you use whatever you're comfortable with. I'm just going to scoop away the part that I don't want there, because there is a little bit of a shadow in that bow. It's kind of like a non-kosher way of going about things, but what I don't want to do is to cover up too much of the lines. However, again, because of the fact that these drops are more opaque than others, and you don't want to lose the detail of that bow. Okay, so almost done there. And what I can do, of course, is that, as I mentioned, these kinds of drops, hi Maddie, is that I can apply the same technique to the little chocolates there. So for instance, I have this pink drop, and I have glittery drops, you know, whatever you like. But what I want to do now is add some shine to the little chocolates. And so on some, I can add the glittery drops and just leave it at that. I can add the translucent drop to another one, so on and so forth, and it's just going to be a little bit of color. Now, if I want to intensify this, of course, I can color it first and then add the drop, so that's an option. And I'm just adding a tiny bit of this, but let me go with the pink also. Okay. And this is just a really easy way of going about this, guys. Nothing complicated here. And it's a subtle difference in color also, but I think it's well worth it. The same here. These hearts, for those of you who just got here, these hearts here, I cut out of a pink background. It looked like this. So that's oxide ink on top of white cardstock that I cut out, layered on top of the blue one. And behind that is the piece of vellum that I did color with alcohol markers. So why am I being crazy today and doing all these? Because these are all different techniques that you can use on one card or on the same card. It all depends on how you like to craft, what materials you have. And I'm just trying to lend a little bit of inspiration. So there you see all of the texture that comes from either having an opaque surface or a shiny one. You know, dimension created with color, just different textures. Even though it's very monochromatic, when you look at it, your eye wants to kind of move all over the place because there's so many different textures on that card. And by the way, the design of that background paper is my own, as well as this one. So I'll soon have that on my Etsy page. Thank you so much. And these were the same panels, and I'll show you very quickly. Some of you guys have been here, yeah, recently. I think everyone else left, I'm not sure. Because some of the ladies were working and all that good stuff. But, oh, one thing I wanted to mention. On this, before it dries, so let me show you. Guys, I cleaned up and I'm forgetting where I put things. Somewhere in this room I have glitter. The one thing I should know. Okay, I think I need to move my cart. Give me 1 second. Ugh, I'm pushing stuff around here. Here we go. Nope, that's embossing powder. Here we go. Okay, found it. All right. Nope, that's embossing powder. Well, you know what? I think this was given to me. I don't know who gave me this, but I just so happen to have a little envelope of glitter here. Oh, you're so welcome, Delia. Thank you so much. I'm just going to take a spoonful of this, because I don't need much, okay? So you just take a tiny bit of glitter and you pinch it and just sprinkle it, okay? And that's going to adhere to that, the enamel from the Nouveau drop, okay? And that allows you to also use the different colors of glitter that you may have. In this case, it's just translucent, but I think it adds a cute touch also. Okay, so let me clean that off real quick. I'm just going to use a piece of paper here. And I'm being gentle because that is Nouveau, the Nouveau drops. I don't want them to move about too much. Okay, but see how now it's more iridescent? So you don't need to have, you know, a huge pile of supplies. You can mix and match them, layer them, you know, use them all together. That's what I guess my point, to get a really cute look on what you're making. And the tiny spoon, by the way, Maddie, if you like that, you can get some of these from Renee Bouquets. That's just one leftover from one of the many projects I made for her. But of course I can continue on adding more Nouveau drops here and there. Adding more little gems, all that good stuff, you know. In fact, on the perimeter of this, I might just do that. I'm doing it all today. All on one card. I'm going to grab some diamond dots. And just when you thought she couldn't do more, I'm going to do kind of like 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then go in between those, and so on and so forth. And I'm just going to add some shine to this. It's not shiny enough. Let's add some more. Now, while I have you guys here, I'm not sure who else is here, but there are going to be some other projects coming up on this channel. I'm going to be cooperating with a couple of stores that you guys are all familiar with. And I look forward to showing you guys how I do these kinds of things. And it's probably going to be, you know, if you see this video, it might be repetitive to you. I don't know. But if you do like what you see on this channel, I do appreciate it if you share it with your friends. If you let people know. Because as I mentioned before, I do like sharing the things that I know. I don't want to be selfish and keep it to myself. There's no point of that, you know. I think it's good to support one another, and especially, you know, being in a learning environment, I think is healthy for everyone. So I hope that that's what you find when you know, when you come to this channel. That maybe you feel challenged to use another product. Maybe you just feel challenged to use the same things you already have, but in a different way. But if any of that happens, and you want to share with your friends, that would be the greatest compliment that you could ever pay me. And of course, as I always say, the links are there for you if you want to purchase these items. You don't have to use the same kind of, you know, product. But if you just happen to like it, then, you know, it's just another way to support my channel. That's all. Woohoo! All right, so I've added the little gems. Kind of gives it, in my opinion, a little bit of that porthole effect. Yes, absolutely. All the things. If you're going to get them anyway. So I quickly want to, I'm just going to look back here. All right, I want to make sure that I didn't miss anyone. Yeah. Oops, sorry guys, I was kind of out of frame. Sorry, I was looking at two things here. So those are the little gems. You can go crazy with them. I can add white ones also, kind of alternate the colors. My favorite are always those kinds of diamond-like ones. But yeah, that's my card. I'm not going to go ahead and do the inside because I think you guys, it'll be redundant. You guys already know how to do all that good stuff. And of course, I goofed on that. I was faffing about, goofed on my paper, but I will finish that. It's just, because it's a shabby chic card, I could actually just leave it like that and it wouldn't even be a big deal. But that is it. Let me show you the box, which is right here. I'll move this aside a second. So using the same dies that I used here, I made the card, okay? So you see that there is versatility in the product. There's versatility in how you do these things. You know, you can use the same technique if it's the one technique you like the most. You can do all of your projects like that even, and it's going to look cute. It's all about whatever you're comfortable with. Me, I was encouraged by a design professor to just keep going, do more, do more. You know, she would always say that to me. Keep going, Raquel, do more. And now that I'm comfortable with that, I really, really enjoy it. But it did take some time initially, you know. But thank you so much. If, you know, if you've liked the video, please, a thumbs up is very, very appreciated. It also lets YouTube know that this is the kind of video that you like watching. So if for nothing other than that, to preserve the analytics. But I have had a ton of fun today creating with you guys. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments. I'm happy to respond. Okay, guys? But I hope you have a beautiful weekend. And as I always say, be inspired and be blessed. And thank you for having been here with me. Ciao, ciao. Now I'm going to do my thing where I reach over and try to find the button that I can never find. God bless you guys. And it's around here somewhere. Somewhere